All right, here we are set up for the Battle of Manzikert, again on the same map you saw in the last video. By the way, I should mention that this system, I didn't say in the last one, this system is designed by Florent Coupeau. So all credit to him for designing this. It's very playable, even if the fidelity isn't super high, but here's the sort of setting for the Battle of Manzikert that we've got. So we've got the Seljuk Turks here. We've got their center, their right. And then weirdly, their left is set up over here behind the Byzantine right flank. I'm not entirely sure what's going on here. If this is errata, I mean, it's the same in both the French and English rules. Or if they're supposed to be set up over here, or if this is supposed to represent sort of like an encirclement or an ambush. Unclear to me what's going on here. I guess if there's probably some historical reasoning in the magazine that I'm missing specifically about this setup. But, I guess it's conceivable because what ended up happening historically is that Romanos marched the core of his army forward, not scouting. When the Battle of Manzikert started, he didn't scout where Alp Arslan's army was. And Alp Arslan essentially had his forces retreat slowly in the wake of that advance into some of these into hills, basically in the battlefield. And the center got too far ahead, and then there was confusion on the battlefield about a call to reform the line. Some soldiers thought that it was the emperor had been killed, and so they started to flee back towards the camp. And while this was happening, sort of some Turks managed to surround the flanks of the army. So I guess that's conceivably what's happening here. But if I zoom in, unfortunately, they're both blue. But these are the Byzantines, and these are some Pecheneg mercenary allies out here on the flank. And then these 4 units here are Seljuks, who presumably came around and flanked this way. We've got Romanos Theoyenis in the center with all the best units. This is going to be a tough nut to crack. Obviously, historically, he was cut down by the elite cavalry of the Seljuks and captured. And then up here on the left, you've got Nikiforos Vrienios, his units, who actually performed pretty well in the battle. You can see this really strong infantry up there, and then some more Seljuk archers up in that particular part of the map. These 2 units here are the reserve that were under the command of Andronicus Ducas. And if you know anything about the Battle of Manzikert, you know that Andronicus Ducas is either he was confused or he betrayed the emperor. He was part of a rival family that did not appreciate Romanos ascending the throne, and so this is the rear guard and the baggage train. At the actual battle, historically, they basically just packed up and went home after Romanos had advanced, and that's kind of what led to the disaster because he was now cut off from his encampment. There's a rule in this scenario where at the beginning of every Byzantine turn, you roll a die, and if you roll a 0 on a d6, they completely just leave the battlefield as they did historically. Now, there are modifiers to that roll based on how many losses the army has taken, both sides, and yeah, we'll just do that every turn. This scenario is 10 turns long. I suspect it will probably end before that. One of the larger ones I've seen in the scenario books, this is using a lot of counters, but even still, it fits on one paper sheet here. All clear terrain, kind of an abstraction. The terrain actually wasn't that clear at Manzikert. It was kind of rocky and craggy, especially as the Byzantine army moved forward. So we're going to get this started. We're going to start playing. I'm probably not going to take you through just the moment by moment stuff. I'll show you sort of the big things that happen, but this should be a pretty short video as we complete the Battle of Manzikert and the prime reason why I ended up buying Via Victis issue number 162. Well, already we have some Byzantine losses here. This sort of flanking archery maneuver eliminated this Scutato unit. That caused this flank to kind of fall back / forward to sort of get into a line with Romanos' center. The Seljuks did not move forward very much. They're most of them are ranged units, so they're just waiting for the Byzantines to get within range, and of course the Byzantines have to get within range in order to attack. Romanos is setting up for a cavalry charge against these guys. I believe there's a rule that says if you retreat off the map, you are eliminated or like out of the scenario. I gotta check on that. That might mean that we want to move them closer by 1, but of course that's going to put them into range of a lot of these Byzantine heavy cavalry. So a little bit of a cat and mouse game, a little bit of a game of chicken here, first of all. So we will continue on with turn 2. Well, start of turn 3, the Romans turned and charged back into the flanking Seljuk archers. They were not able to retreat before combat. They took a loss here. Alp Arslan's force has been kind of driven away. Again, they weren't able to withdraw before combat too often. These 3 units here are all Byzantine heavy cavalry, and so they're in the thick of it now. Romanos kind of watching over, looking to where he can come in with the Hetareia and provide some support. We've got the Varangian Guard here as well. They're going to kind of watch out because Alp Arslan now can kind of come this way. We'll see what happens. And then up here, the Nikephoros Vrianos' flank actually did a really good job driving off, doing some damage here to some of the Turks. This guy, he was driven off. He took a hit. Unfortunately, this Byzantine infantry unit took a hit as well under some arrow fire. But, you know, it's a good positioning here with the Romans now surrounding this left flank, and so we'll see what happens as it sort of devolves into the chaos of the melee here on, well, 1/3 of the way through the game when this turn is over. Well, the Romans got really lucky this turn. They rolled a 6, which on their check for the reserve, that actually freed them up this turn, so the reserve now was able to charge in here against this sort of Seljuk flanking force, and these forces joined that attack. They're going to try and push off this flank and kind of eliminate them from being a problem anymore. So that's good news for the Byzantines. Down here, the 3 sort of mounted units that Romanos had sent in have turned, and the Varangians have been released now. They're gonna try and eliminate these archers, and kind of they've separated Alp Arslan from his other forces. And Romanos himself with the Hetareia. We've got some Cavallarioi there. So, and then they've all moved in. They're going to try and eliminate some of these guys as well. This is also a Byzantine unit. He's also charging. It's full speed ahead for the Romans. If they can force some of these Turkish units off the map, they'll eliminate them. And then up here, we've got these 2 really heavy infantry units and this reduced cavalry unit going in after these archers. Basically, the Romans trying to get in there and mix it up hand-to-hand with all the ranged units that the Seljuks have brought to the battle. So I'm going to resolve all this, and I'll show you what happens. All right, well, it was a mixed bag for the Romans on that turn. They did do some losses to one of these weak units. They did actually destroy this pretty powerful Seljuk unit here with some charges. He's gone. Now the Romans here have are forcing the Turks in this quadrant of the map to be kind of pushed into a corner. It's not really looking good for them. So that was really the main success, the Emperor leading that charge. For the rest of the attacks, actually not that great. A lot of the Turks withdrew before combat. They got the roll, and they were able to squirt out from the pressure that they were under. The Central Reserve attacking this unit actually, it went horribly. It was a disaster, and they were all repulsed from this unit on the end. And then the Pecheneg mercenaries here, they exchanged the volley with this ranged unit, tried to drive it off or eliminate it, and they actually ended up taking fire on their own and took a loss. So it's kind of a mixed bag. It's going pretty well up here, but for the rest of the battle, it's just kind of unorganized and chaotic right now. So we are going to go to turn 4, and the Seljuks are going to be up. Okay, well, we've had our first sort of morale test that's going to cascade down the line. So as you can see here, this unit was meleeed by these cavalry and then shot up by these from the other angle here. That caused a retreat. Now, you're not allowed to retreat into an enemy Zoc, so this hex, all not allowed. This is the only hex this unit can retreat to. When it does that, it displaces the unit that was sitting there, his friendly unit. That's going to cause this unit to have to make a morale test, which he's going to do right now. And if he fails that morale test, bad things can happen. He passed his morale test, so no effect. But that could have caused... actually, he passed it... let's see... Yeah, so he passed his morale test. Now, if he had failed his morale test, that could have caused him to retreat. And if there had been a line of this going on that pushed more friendly units, you could have had a cascading swarm of morale tests down the line, which I think is really interesting about this system. It kind of captures this sort of like, you see your comrades in danger and you are suddenly broken. So, not quite the results that the Seljuks would have wanted here. They didn't do any losses, and they didn't really achieve anything. They did one loss up here. This unit, I believe, took a hit, or this unit took a hit. But otherwise, the Byzantines are in a really good position to charge again. And so it's going to be pretty gnarly here with the Seljuks already down 4 casualties to 1. All right, as we begin turn 6, losses beginning to pile up now on both sides. The Seljuks down here have done a really good job of clearing the field of Roman units, most of whom peeled off. They're trying to finish off Alp Arslan's center section here. We've got Romans here. We've Got another Roman unit here, and these 3 Seljuk units are going to have to move away and put on some more ranged fire, because that's really what they're best at. But it's looking like the Seljuks are headed for defeat. Romanos broke off and made his way south, so now there's a vast, overwhelming force against the Sultan down here. Up here, these Turkish mounted cavalry retreated into these woods, which is pretty funny, and actually repulsed an attack. These woods give a -1 column shift against the attacker, so despite the overwhelming force, they were pushed back, and they're just gonna. I think we might just keep an eye on them and keep them up here. There's no reason not to try it again and potentially get some points for doing that. The Seljuks now are up to 3, 6, 9, 11. So they're more than halfway to defeat, while the Romans are at 8. So, the unit differential is a lot, but it's still pretty close in terms of route points. The Seljuks are up first. We'll see if they can do some damage, but I think their time is numbered. Well, these Turks in these woods have managed to repulse the Byzantine infantry yet again. It's 2 turns in a row. They rolled a 6 on the attack. So kind of a stalemate up there. The rear was not released this turn to move in and attack the reserve. And then down here, the Turks, we've kind of found themselves in they've regrouped and managed to recollect themselves into a line down here at the south of the battlefield, and they put the hurt on this Pelstatoi. This particular Turkish unit is actually caught. He can't escape here. You're not allowed to move Zok to Zok in this game. So he's fully surrounded and likely going to get crushed next turn, but Alp Arslan had to get out of there. He's just trying to keep the arrows flying and eliminate Byzantine units as much as possible. They're just not quite getting the hits that they want. They're obviously doing damage, and there's a lot of reduced units in here now. But we're about to do turn 7 for the Romans, so I will do that and then come back. Well, finally, the infantry forced one of these units off the map, and they've cornered that guy. He's pretty much dead. Down here, this lone surrounded Turkish unit managed to repulse a fully surrounded attack led by the Emperor, which is pretty amazing. There was an additional Turkish unit eliminated here, and so they're up to 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 13. So that's going to be another +1 to the die roll to help these guys release, which is hilarious. Turn 8, we're almost there. It's just kind of a back and forth at this point. Well, completely unexpected. First of all, eliminated 2 more Roman units under a hail of arrow fire. The Varangian Guard went down dead, which is historic. The Varangian Guard that protected the Emperor were eliminated. This infantry unit destroyed in here. And then Alp Arslan and some of his personal forces fired a volley at the Emperor that caused a morale check, and this Heteraya unit actually failed the morale check. So suddenly, there's kind of a danger here all of a sudden where the odds are a lot more even now. In this sort of like final battle between the Emperor and the Sultan. And it's a little risky, I think, now for the Romans. If they don't get the right rolls on some of the charges they're about to execute, it could swing the other way, which would be kind of dramatic here in the final turns of the game. Well, with the elimination of a couple more Turkish units, including that unit up there in the forest, who had to retreat, and down here, the elimination of the guy protecting Alp Arslan's flank. The Seljuks now are up to 19 route points. 1 more, and they lose the game. However, the Byzantines are at 5, 7, 9, and 6, 15. So it's really close right now. It's super close. And we're going into turn 9 here, and the Seljuks are up. So I'll play it out here for you. We want to get close enough to eliminate as many strength points as we can. What do we got on this side? We've got a 3 there. If we could do 5 this turn, that would be incredible. If we can eliminate these 2 reduced units, the Seljuks will actually win the Battle of Manzikert. So let's try and make it happen. We're gonna move him up here, put some pressure on the Emperor. We're gonna move him up here into bow range here. We just want as many units in range of shooting this guy as possible. And so that's everyone. So that's going to be probably a max column attack. But we also have to get this guy as well. So let's see. If we move Alp Arslan out, that would be 4, 5, and 3, 8. That would be a 4-to-1 attack there. 2, 4, 6, a 3-to-1 attack there. I think that's our best odds. So let's see what we do. Let's do the 3-to-1 attack first, because otherwise it might be moot on this infantry unit with these 3 Turkish horsemen. 3-to-1, that's a 2. That's probably going to do it. Yeah, that's a loss. So that takes Byzantine morale now 3, 6, 10, 14, 18. So now we have to see. It's pretty good. 3, 4, what did I say? 5, 8 to 2, so 4 to 1. Here we go. And it's 2 losses, and that eliminates, this Cavalerii, and that puts the Byzantines over, the game's not over yet, so that puts the Byzantines over 20, but we have to play through to the end of the round, so the Byzantines get one more chance. They get, like, essentially one more turn, so this could be very pivotal. Let's see if the Byzantines get the central. Yes, they do. That's amazing. So the reserve guard, the reserve force is actually going to be active this turn, and that actually might win them the game potentially. So that's what timing? What timing? So let's go ahead and let's see. What do we need? We're at 3, 6, 9, and 4 is 13, 15, 17, 21. The Seljuks are at 1, 2, 3, 6, 9. And 4 is 13, and 6 is 19. So we need to do three losses. If we can do 3 losses to Seljuk troops, actually the Byzantines will win. So this one's a 3, so we definitely want to kill him if we possibly can. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll move in here. That's not going to be a charge, but this will be because he moved closer with every hex. And we can send the Emperor in as well on a charge. Let's do that. No reason not to. And then just to make sure we're maximizing our chances, we can go 1, 2 down here. We're going to try and kill this guy, I think. We can go 1, 2 down here. That's a charge for this unit. I'm going to try and, do we even need that charge? 3, 4, 5. Yeah, well, no, but we're going to do it anyways. And then we've got Alp Arslan here. He's got 4. 3, 6 to 4 is 1.5 to 1. That could be interesting. Let's do that as well. Obviously, we don't want to take any losses that would eliminate units of ours. I don't think anyone's that guy's at risk of it, so we got to be careful here. And then these guys up here, they're just going to make their way down and see if they can rejoin the battle. They're not going to make it. All right, let's do here. So we've got 4 and 3 is 7, 8, 9 for Romanos. 12 to 2. That's a max column attack. Let's see if the Seljuks manage to avoid battle here. They do not. And a 5 is going to be a defender retreat, so this is going to be interesting. So he cannot retreat here. He cannot retreat here. He's got to go here, which is going to push both of these guys away, which means both of these guys, actually he could have retreated there. Both of these guys have to make morale tests, so let's see what happens there. The guy on the right succeeds at making it, but it ties his morale. He's got to go back, and then this guy is reduced because he failed his morale test. Okay, that's pretty bad. That's how morale checks, or that's how retreats can get you in trouble depending on how you're positioned. Let's move this unit in here because he has to. One of the charging units has to. Okay, we didn't eliminate anyone there, so that's not good. Here, let's do the 3 to 1 attack there, and let's see if the Seljuks escape. He does not, and that 3 to 1 is a D1. That is going to eliminate this guy, but that's only 2, which is only 2. We'll go ahead and move him in. We'll advance to give Alp Arslan less places to go. Okay, so Alp Arslan is a 4. We have got 3, 4 for this charge, and 7, so 7 to 4. It's going to be 1.5 to 1 based on the combat table. Let's see if the Turks manage to avoid the battle. They do not. 1.5 to 1, and I rolled a 5, and that is an attacker retreat. So Alp Arslan manages to repulse this attack, and I think that we actually have a tie here at the end of round 8. Or excuse me, round 9, if I'm counting it correctly. 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 11, 13, 16, 19, 21 losses for the Seljuks. 4, 6, 8, 10, 13, 15, and 6, 21 losses for the Byzantines. What happens if there is a tie? I'm going to go look at the rule book. Well, interestingly, this is an edge case that is not covered by the rules about what happens if you have a tied victory threshold at the end of the scenario. You know what? I'm going to house rule it right now. Let's see. Is there anything about this? No. Actually, it said there is. In the scenario victory conditions, it is a draw. The Battle of Manzikert fought to a draw, a standstill. So, obviously, history very different in this particular instance of the Eastern Roman Empire versus the Seljuk Turks. There you go. There's the Battle of Manzikert. Obviously, it's a light little game. It's not super high on the fidelity or even, I would say, the historical authenticity, but it's extremely playable for a tactical game, and it's kind of fun. You know, there's some of the chrome here, I guess, helps reflect the battle a little better, but I think, you know, this outcome isn't necessarily not plausible. I could definitely see them being fought to a draw as plausible, certainly because the reserve units came in for the Romans a couple times in this battle, and I think most historians would agree that if Andronicus Ducas had supported the combat, that we'd be talking about a much different outcome. But overall, it's a fun little system. I'm really keen. I mean, I just love this era of history, so having something I can set up and play in like an hour is really cool. This could be a really fun new wargamer, new tactical wargamer's first kind of wargame experience. Not a lot of counters, and, you know, the map is small, not a lot of terrain, not a lot of, like, fluff, basically. It's pretty pure. And, you know, not a lot of games on this topic. I really wish that the Middle Byzantine period had more games on it. Obviously, I'm doing my part to help fix that problem, but you know, overall, a fun little system. À la charge. This is Basileus, Byzantium in the 10th and 11th centuries. You know, I'm going to, like I said in my other video, I think I'm going to try and track down a copy of Via Victis issue 132 to get the first volume of this series, just so that I can play some of the great Byzantine moments throughout history. I'll show you real quick the other side of this now that the Battle of Manzikert is over and it's a mess on the field. So here's one of the other maps. You can see a lot of mountains and craggy terrain. I'm wondering if maybe Manzikert shouldn't have been on this one given historical terrain. And then here's a little information about Basileus II. Definitely, if you're interested in these games or the magazine, definitely check out Via Victis' website. They've got an English version of their website. And you can check out Basileus II in the most recent issue. Thanks for watching. I'm not sure what I'm going to play next, but I am happy that I'm getting more frequent content up on the channel these days, and so I appreciate everyone who's stuck around to watch whatever it is that has struck my fancy to play.